Supatipano yasa bhagavato samvedisangho Sammayam bhagavatam sadhamam sasanam Ime sadhare yataham Ayodhite abhipujaya Sadhuno bhante bhagava Sujira varini bhutopi Pajima janatano gambamo dasam Ime sakare rugatapanaka Prabhude patikanhatu Amadandi daratam Nitaya sukaya Aram samara sambuddho bhagavan Buddham bhagavantam abhivadi Swagato bhagavata dhammo dhammam namassami Supatipano bhagavato samvedisangho Sangham namami Namayam buddhassa bhagavato papapaganamakaranjaro nasi Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sambuddhassa Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sambuddhassa Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sambuddhassa So, very nice to see everyone. So please now sit up well, good posture, nice straight back, and body and mind alert. And you close your eyes. And when you close your eyes, you leave everything behind. All that you've been doing, worrying about, thinking about, everything. You put it down and you leave it. And you be still. And we'll commence by bringing to mind the Buddha and recollecting some of his amazing qualities. That perfect mind of his that was not only completely free of any kind of defilement, of all forms of defilement, but far distant, far away from any of them. A mind, too, of infinite compassion. A truly amazing being, perfect in knowledge and conduct. Now, as you contemplate the Buddha and recollect that perfect mind of his, remind yourselves of your purpose in practicing, your need to clean your mind of all defilement, your need to overcome and be free of your suffering. And remember that this is to do yourselves a great kindness. So do remember to be kind to yourself. Even though you may encounter areas of your being you're not happy with, you will have to face perhaps your anger and frustration, and you might be ashamed of what you see and experience. But remember to be kind, to understand that you are as you are for now. But with work and with care, you might become something quite different. And our purpose in practicing is to create that kind of transformation. Buddhism is a way of transformation. So be kind to yourselves, and remember too to understand others, to understand that they too are not yet perfect. They will make mistakes. They will be unpleasant to you sometimes, all that kind of stuff. Understand and be kind. Meet their anger and aggression with kindness and understanding. And then before we go any further, we must remind ourselves yet again of the harsh reality of our human condition. We are aging, all of us, with every minute. Life hath but one direction, and time's its only measure. And we may become unwell, even very sick at any time, whoever we are. And we will most certainly die. That is one thing we can be absolutely certain of. Aging, sickness, and death. These are the three divine messengers. Hear them well, and reflect on your life and what you're doing and how you're doing it. Now we're going to take some time to work with our minds. In the first place, to endeavor to make them still, to be still. So, check that you're still sitting up well, good posture. And quite deliberately now, begin to gather and concentrate your mind. and direct your mind to your bodily form, your sitting posture, your solid bodily form. And be aware of the shape that your body is making, the space that it's occupying. Be aware that within this bodily form there is fluid. And in fact, it's fluid which is holding it together. And also there is warmth, heat. And lastly, there is air and the element of motion. Now be as still as you possibly can be. And notice that movement of air, that movement of breathing. Now, wherever or however you feel the breath, wherever and however you perceive the breath, fix your attention there. And be fully aware of each incoming breath, each outgoing breath. And just keep your mind following the breath, breath after breath, and be still. Keep yourself quite still. Remember, be still. And if your mind is disturbed at any time by anything at all, just be aware of that and let it go. No need to react, no need to follow whatever it might be, no need to do anything except to be mindful and aware and let it go. Let it go and find the breath again. So please be careful now and maintain your very good and still posture. Stay that way, and in the next few minutes while I'm talking, just cultivate the art of listening. So I mentioned earlier that Buddhism is a way of transformation. It begins with the way we are, the raw material, and it gives us various ways in which we can work upon ourselves and develop ourselves and change ourselves. When we look at this raw material, what do we see? Well, when we look into our minds, at the very outset, when we begin to be aware of ourselves, of course, we notice that we express practically all the time our various kilesas or defilements. We can't help it. When we look at something, we like it or dislike it, and we want it or we don't want it. We take these kinds of attitudes to all that we see, hear, touch, taste, smell, think about. We can't help it. We're governed by our kilesa. As we grow up, of course, we're taught and mostly learn to restrain our defilements. So we don't just go and grab whatever we want. We understand that things belong to others. And we know too that certain things belong to us. And if they're taken or broken, then we get upset. And so we gradually, as we grow up, learn to govern and deal with our defilements. But they don't go away. The raw material is still pretty raw. And then we come to a teaching like Buddhism. We discover that the Buddha observed the true nature of things, understood the true nature of things, and was able to use this in such a way as to be able to understand and get rid of these defilements. And his teaching basically is about just that, because these defilements, if they're left, cause trouble. They cause suffering. They cause us to feel discontent and envious and, well, not very happy at all. What he then set out to teach us is that we, first of all, have to exercise some control over ourselves. And so he offered the precepts, the whole teaching on morality. But of course, as I said, however much we learn to govern our defilements, they don't go away. They're still there. The potential is still there to do further harm. One of the principles that he taught was that where there is one thing, arises another. So while the defilements are there, while we are inclined to certainly on some occasions follow our anger or follow our greed, they have an effect. That experience, what we do, what we say, has an effect. And the effect is on not just someone else, but ourselves too. So if we allow the anger to grow, if we allow our bad mood to fester, if we allow our desire to get out of hand, then this affects not only other people, but ourselves, because we are growing in those directions. And that's not a good thing. So we have to do a bit more than just restraining ourselves, governing our defilements. And this is where the way of transformation really begins to bite. The precepts do it to a certain degree. But observing ourselves carefully, and especially making our minds still, being reasonably quiet, getting to know the nature of our being enables us to take a further step. And that step is the acquiring, and this is purely experiential. This is not something you read up and memorize. You acquire by degrees insight into the nature of things. And as I said, this comes with experience. It is an experiential knowledge. And is that which by degrees changes you, transforms you. Because as your experience of insight grows, so your kilesa begin to drop away. And the only way out of this mess that we're in is to free ourselves from our kilesa, from these defilements. I know that people will say that their greed, their desire is not a bad thing, because, of course, it enables them to get on in life. And even some people will argue that anger and hatred are quite useful, because they protect you from other people and aggression and so on. Well, you can, if you want to, justify just about anything. But pay attention to what happens to you when you allow the greed to take hold and to develop. Because this is what we tend to do, isn't it? We tend to feed our defilements. When we get angry with someone, then we go on and on in our minds about what that person did and didn't do, and so on and so forth. And it grows. Ajahn Chah made quite a big thing about this. I remember him talking to us about how, if you have a tiger and you feed it, it grows and it becomes stronger and it roars and it consumes you. But if you don't feed that tiger, then it becomes weaker and weaker, and eventually it dies. He used to kind of act it out. So this practice of being still is very important. It not only enables you to watch yourself, but it also helps you to not follow your kilesa. Yes, they come up, but you don't have to follow them. You can simply observe them. And when you simply observe them, you will notice their nature. Their nature is, like everything else, to fall away. They are impermanent. They change. Feed them and they grow. Starve them and they die. And all this happens when you're simply sitting still there on your cushion. Watch yourself. But then, of course, do your best to bring that stillness into your everyday life. And again, to be watchful of what your mind does and how it moves and the direction that you're allowing it to grow in. The more observant you become, the better. This is to take mindfulness and awareness into all areas of your life. It won't happen all at once, but by degrees, you are transformed by this. So please do your best to be peaceful and happy and understand the true nature of things. So we have another couple of minutes and we'll sit. And during these last minutes, we will focus minds on loving kindness. May you and all beings be well and happy. May you and all beings be free from all suffering. May you and all beings realize for yourselves the secure peace of Nibbana. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagavan Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi Swagato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sangham Namami. So thank you all very much for coming. Very nice to see you all. And I hope you have a good weekend and we'll meet again soon. Good night.